What's up? Yo! Energy, right? How's everyone doing? Questions, comments, whatever. Send them my way. Anyone's never been here before, this is a Monday grind. Basically, it's when I collect all the stats from the game so far, stuff them into all my models, and my database, which I share on Patreon and also publicly on this stream. It should be the first comment at the top of whatever list you can look at. Twitch. I think we're on Periscope now and YouTube as well. So, yeah, what's up? Chat some football, look over some stats, answer some Dynasty questions, I hope, if you have any. Best spam that link again, actually. I was trying to play an online game earlier and I couldn't even sign on. So my video quality, I'm guessing my internet's struggling even more than usual. Links in the chat. Where are we? That one. Yeah. All right. So I was actually, anticipating a lack of questions so far. I was applying my sophomore model. I created a real quick, real simple model to judge rookie seasons, trying to project sophomore seasons, points per game wise. And I was just kind of curious what happens if you applied that to, everyone. And so I was looking at the wide receivers, breaking them down by draft year. Let me, it's real simple, and I didn't do a lot of testing on it. I was just looking for some fair way to judge. So all it does is it multiplies target share by basically yards per team pass attempt per game, which is the easiest way to do it without dragging week-by-week data. There it is. So that's in the database too that I just linked. All of this is actually. But I was applying the sophomore model to me. DJ Moore's having a pretty good year overall, by the way. I don't know if everyone's feeling that yet, but he is. Anyway, it ranked wide receivers specifically. DK Metcalf came out number one since he's got both a 23% target share and his yards per game, yards per team attempt at least. So like 1.52, which is incredibly high. Expect some of these to come down a little bit, actually. By week 17, for example, where is it? And the model the data that I used to build it, like Justin Jefferson's 1.48, which was from last week, was the highest that came out in the entire model. So DK Metcalf's having another game, as he likes to do. Also Devontae Adams. These are all exceptionally high, basically. It's a bit of a wide receiver year, if you hadn't noticed. I'm trying to find a way of adjusting, or not adjusting, but creating something around ADOT and yards per team attempt. Because right now, yards per team attempt, which I love because it's simple and it's a really good and sticky stat, but it tests just slightly worse than expected points per game and expected points models. You're not going to be able to build one in Excel. I might be able to build one if I took like a year and collected a lot of data and bought a better computer. But yeah, they're a lot harder to do. This one's from RotoViz, by the way. I just stole RotoViz's expected points model results. And that's what I put in the database. So I'm trying to find a way of making this as good, since we can do it, we can all do it. And it's an easy and simple stat and a really good one. And I think the route to do it is by going through ADOT. I was talking about it with FS Spaceman last stream, actually. He had some different ideas on it, but so far I haven't found a way of doing it. And the first step really is to see how predictive I can make a sophomore model, which is this, or any kind of model predicting next season. So this isn't perfect, but it's the first step on trying to adjust yards per team attempt in a way that, what if I apply this to running back, just out of interest? Take out some conditions here. It wasn't built for running back, but I was just kind of curious. Yeah, Dalvin Cook. Okay, yeah, it's not doing a terrible job because yards per team attempt obviously accounts for the fact that running backs get rushing yards. So, and the team rushes sometimes instead of passing. So it's pretty interesting. Obviously, where it's not adjusted for their kind of stats, it's producing ridiculous points per game numbers. But I don't know. It's interesting. Ideally, it's a way of ranking players going into next season. But like I say, right now, it's not that. It's just assessing seasons in Korea right now. I don't know what we're going to do yet. Chad Hansen's just screwing me up. And I know I can put conditions in there to make, dependent on the fact that he's only played one game or had less than 10 opportunities and stuff. But right now, I'm just kind of enjoying the fact Chad Hansen stepped into the wide receiver 1 spot. I think that's kind of fun. Anyone else? No? I think it's hilarious. I seem to remember some Chad Hansen truthers from back when. And Corey Davis is back in the news, man. Enjoying the hell out of that. Another place. All right. What else we got in here? Team stats. The most popular and most interesting seem to be looking at expected points by position for different teams. Gives you a good idea of where they're putting all their volume, or which teams are putting a high amount of volume at running back, for example, which seems to be Washington right now with Antonio Gibson going off. It's part of the reason I wouldn't expect that to continue, but I was never a big Antonio Gibson guy, so that's probably just me. Fantasy-wise, Dallas is still leading the pack in terms of expected points all around per the team, which tells you a good idea of when you're going to get the most fantasy points. Then it's Pittsburgh, Los Angeles Chargers. You can also see how efficient they are as a team through the expected points model. I've also got target share by position across the teams, which is fun. What was that thing I'm looking at there? Washington's throwing the second most, or the highest target share to running backs in the league right now. New England is second, which I'm guessing you guys are not feeling. Hey, crossover, how you doing, man? Tight end is just a list of the tight ends are worth playing, because that's how that works. You either have a good one or you don't. We also have weekly data in here, which can answer a lot of different questions when they come up, and I use it. Create yards per team pass attempt for a start. I find that a better way of doing it than adjusting for missed games, like per game. But again, I'm not going to be able to do that for a historical database, in which that's why I've started doing the yards per team pass attempt per game, which is where you per game both the team attempts and the players' yards per game, and then do the same division. And it comes out pretty good. Like the average is in here. This is if you look at their average in the games that they've played. And this is the per game number. And you can see they're fairly similar. They're not drastically dissimilar, put it that way. So it's going to be my method when I go to making a seasonal database or pushing this back further. Already have an NFL database out there on Patreon, but it's going to require updating for the 2020 season. So this is going to be my new method of doing that. That's one of the things I've learned or decided to do from this season, at least. What I was doing this sophomore model for was actually to look at N'Keal Harry and see how well or badly he's doing, because, he's my new hope to Corey Davis or Devontae Parker. But, I mean, his sophomore season is not great. It's better than his rookie season, which is improvement, which is much like Corey Davis. But Corey Davis had like a really good second season. Like he was wide receiver 25 overall points per game, I think. And N'Keal Harry isn't hitting that. He's like wide receiver, what? Points per game wise, he's wide receiver 4 on his team. Dang. Wide receiver, 103 points per game. Okay. That's not exactly where you want it to be. But Deebo Samuel, I swear people are forgetting Deebo. I tried to trade him away in a team where I just need to accrue more value, and it's a salary cap league, so he's only got $1 for 3 years, and I got no. Like, there's no chance that, especially in that salary in a salary cap league, a player like Deebo in that position after that rookie year and this decent second year while being injured for part of it, like he should be a droolable asset. And the guy was just like, no, that guy's no good anymore, which tells me that people have literally forgotten about Deebo Samuels, which is great because I wasn't hiring him as a rookie, and hopefully I'll be able to acquire a lot of him fairly cheaply now. Hey, Philly Special says, listening while I watch the game. What's up, Peter? Not much, my man. How about you? How's the game? Which game? There's a game on? I don't know. I don't watch games, so I wouldn't know. Yeah, I wish it was more of a watching thing, like a show. But I don't know. I just stream because I have the capacity. I enjoy talking football. I don't prepare things. I don't have a waiver wire show for this. I realized the other day that I hadn't done my podcast for this last weekend. So if anyone's got any ideas of what I can talk about from my podcast 2 days ago. Okay. Where did I post that? Oh, I put it in the wrong link. Sorry. Steelers, yeah, I know, man. It's all right. I have to actually keep pretty close track of that stuff to do projections. I was just fooling. I was just fooling with you. I have a very important bye week this way in the Scott Fish Bowl between Patrick Mahomes floundering, Kyler Murray being injured, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire doing nothing. I'm pretty sure I'd be out the Scott Fish Bowl this week if I didn't have a bye week. So, yeah. I'm hoping, because I'd like my team not to suck, even though I'm on bye. So I'm hoping Ebron and Juju Smith-Schuster can, rectify some of the hope I have for this playoff push here. I'm not going to win, but I'd like to at least, put up a respectable number, And Juju's currently scoring me 0 points. Nice. And Eric Ebron's currently scoring me 1.3. Oh, crap. Oh, God. I hope my team bounces back for next week, or I'm dead. Look at this stuff. Where are you? Yeah, I'm scoring. I average around 163. I forget what the leaderboard said, but like a lot of points a game. And this week, on my bye week, I'm scoring 84. That is not ideal, to say the least. So yeah, I mean they don't matter. I'm on bye, but I'd really like it if Juju or Ebron or I got. Look like I got Connor on the bench. Myles Gaskin is really the only one who showed up for me this week, which is just awesome. Actually, I'm actually really excited that Myles Gaskin's coming back just in time for the playoff rush. Like that was an important part of my team. I can't decide on a screen. Like what's better? Is this better? I think this is better. All right. Yeah, if Deebo Samuels could just not be on San Francisco, that'd be great. Like, I don't like trusting assets in San Francisco at all. It's a little like New England, good team, great players. You don't really want a lot of them in fantasy. That's kind of how I feel about San Francisco. Not that they're, New England, but just don't trust that team at all. Oh, also, I guess. I've been playing with my rookie rankings. Can you see this one? My rookie rankings are hosted on DLF. And I was re-ranking, just playing with some ideas, which is kind of how I use my rankings. Don't take them as gospel. They're more of a draft board for ideas. But this was my top 10. I got Juju Smith-Schuster just under the line there at 10. CeeDee Lamb just above him just because of dynasty value. Anyway, top to bottom, it's Davante Adams. All the top 5 lists I'm hearing, no one's putting Michael Thomas in that top 5, and I find that kind of strange. Like, I get it, but I don't really get it, if you know what I mean. Like, he's been injured, and when he's not injured, despite, the fun and hilarity of him being an asshole, apparently, like, on the field, he's still Michael Thomas. Like, there's been no drop-off, and he was, dynasty consensus #1 wide receiver, just obvious this offseason. And he's performing at that level. So what's the deal there? Yeah, he's had 2 20-point games in the last 3 weeks. Target share of 52%, 43%, and 30% of the last 3 weeks. Yeah, people be tripping on Michael Thomas, and I don't know. Have they taken him out of the top 5 in Dynasty? Because all the Twitter lists I'm seeing, I mean, it's basically just every rookie, and Terry McLaurin, which I respect. But yeah, Michael Thomas and Davante Adams have to be 1 and 2, right? Where's ADP? No, I don't want to see an app. I just want to see the ADP, Addison. Where's that button? Dynasty ADP. That's the one, right? Here we go. Podcast idea. Talk about players approaching age apex for their position. Wide receiver, running back. I will, but you have to remember that my talk about age curves is to lean into them really hard. Like, I'll have Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, who isn't even old now I think about it, higher than most people, because I don't tilt over age at all. It's just not worth it. Do it in their last year, not their 30th year or whatever. Okay, yeah, top 5 ADP players right now. Yeah, that's 2020 November. DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Davante Adams, CeeDee Lamb. Oh my God, he is. Michael Thomas has fallen out the top 5 in Dynasty. That's crazy. No, I understand what you mean. Approaching the age apex, keep producing as we approach the off-season period of Dynasty. Who I'm moving on from? Again, my talk is going to be, I'm going to lean in real hard to Keenan Allen. And all of those getting towards that scary age apex. It's overblown. Not overblown because there's truth to it, but it's more of value than production fears. Like DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen, for that matter. Like, I didn't import age this week, but it's in here. Okay. I've got age in here, right? No, yeah, I do. Okay. Okay, who we got over 29 this year? Adam Thielen. AJ Green's been disappointing, so's T.Y. Hilton, apart from last week, obviously, against Houston. Julio Jones, he's been fine. He's been injured this season. Let's see, who are people going to be tilting over because of their age? Probably Julio and Adam Thielen. But as they approach that apex, their value drops significantly. And that's the adjustment that I'm more interested in. I'm not interested in buying Keenan Allen, Julio Jones, and Adam Thielen at their rightful value. I'm interested in buying them at their decreased value because everyone wants out of them. Everyone wants out of them. There's no edge in fading players because of age when everyone in your league is going to fade players because of age. The edge is in the opposite direction. But yeah, I should probably definitely talk about that. I'm trying to stick more one player at a time on the podcast more and more because that's really the theme of the show. but I can do that. Yeah, it's a good idea. Excellent job explaining it, Finley. Don't worry about it. Why is Keenan Allen not discussed with Thomas Hopkins? Because he's lower drafted and people are draft snobs. You just have to accept that. And not just accept it, embrace it. Just all the James Robinson, all the Keenan Allen. It's still remembered. Keenan Allen has one of the best wide receiver seasons in this era. Full stop. Careers, sorry. He was one of the best careers. And he's never broached the top 12 but once, if I remember right. People still adjust for draft capital. It's crazy. Also, he's a low A player, like Michael Thomas, frankly. And it's not as fancy and fun as DK Metcalf's. That's it. That's why. But yeah, he's kicking ass. Again, according to that sophomore model I just came up with or whatever, Keenan Allen came up really high, actually. I mean, how old is he now? He's got to be in his 30s, right? Yeah, he's going to be a big target for me this offseason. At decreased value, he's 28. He's going to be 29 this offseason, right? People are going to be talking about that. And yeah, that's exactly the player I stock up on. You can play wide receiver a bunch of ways if you're looking for points, which is always what I'm looking at. Right now, I'm trying to acquire dynasty wide receivers with value. This offseason, I'll switch to try and buying ones with points. And you can go the Willie Seed, Jamison Crowder, Robbie Anderson route, which is always a great route because no one cares about them. You can trade second and thirds from them all day. Or you can go for older wide receivers that have a higher ceiling and a shorter lifespan, but are still more likely to produce high points because we already know they're good. At falling value. And depending on what team situation I'm in, depends on how I play it per team. But yeah, what was I looking at? The Keenan Allen at the top. Was it expected points? Yeah, it was. Yeah. Keenan Allen is second at the position this year at expected points per game, which is the most predictive, sticky, and valuer of how well a wide receiver is doing this year. Yeah, it's crazy. But he's in year 8. Whatever. He's ranked 4th overall in points per game, just raw points per game, not even expected points. So, and you're right, no one talks about him at all. And in fact, someone does talk about him. Someone who's always talking about him. That's a good thing about Keenan Allen. Zinger, Michael Zingoni at FF_Zinger, if I remember right. He's on DLF, and he's been talking about Keenan Allen for longer than I can even remember. Zinger was also one of the first ones to point out that everyone was low on Devontae Adams. And for me, he's a clear dynasty wide receiver 1 right now. So, that's... What's his at? Just in case you don't know him, because he's busy. He's like a student, and he doesn't get on Twitter nearly as much as me. But yeah, FF Zinger. He called Devontae Adams about 2 years ago, by the way, and he's been calling Keenan Allen underrated for at least the same amount of time. He's a stat nerd, obviously, but no, he does a good job looking for players like that. Is my stream quality so bad, by the way? Because even when it's good, I'm fuzzy and delayed, and I do lots of weird movements around. But today, my internet quality is bad even for me. He should be. Like, I'll be buying Keenan Allen a lot. It is? All right, cool. I'm assuming that's judged on a curve by what I normally look. I have never once. That's why I prefer recording YouTube videos, and I actually prefer talking to people like right now, like me talking to you. But it's more fun, and it's less pretentious as saying, hello, I have a presentation to make about a player, or whatever. And but at least I can show images, and I can talk to you without delay and lag and fuzzy screens and all right. Just so you know, this is Michael trolling me. Yeah, I roll my cigarettes. They are cigarettes, though. There is just tobacco in them. It seems to drive everyone wild. It's more common where I come from, which is, you know, Zambozia or wherever I actually come from, but they're just cigarettes. Chill. It's not a thing where I come from. I just got used to them. Now I like doing them. It also means I smoke less because it takes effort, and sometimes you're like, nah, can't be bothered. Effort, you know. All buy lows. Keenan Allen's, Tyler Boyd, Mims. I think Mims is a good one. Talking about sophomore seasons and what that model said about them. Let's skip to him. Obviously, yeah. It goes Jefferson Higgins. As I've been mentioning, Higgins is having as impressive as rookie season as almost anyone this year. I think he's a buy. I think people are going to be low on him a little bit, or already are actually. I don't know what to do about Brandon Ayuk yet. I don't know if I want to come in on Brandon Ayuk. It's not that I was out. It's more that I didn't know what to make of him. He's got 2 seasons in college. He played 2 seasons. One, he was absolute ass, and one, he was pretty good. It was actually pretty good. I can't average that. You know, I don't know what to make of that. Who is he? And he played later as well. And so I don't know how good he is when he's young in college because he didn't play then. But this rookie season, and again, San Francisco, I don't like investing in that team. But he's having a really good rookie season. Like, there's no other way of saying it. So I think he's interesting. If you watch more tape or watch any tape or have another opinion of Brandon Ayuk, like, and you really like him, now's a good time to go in on him on a buy list. Right now, I don't know what to do with him. I'm just going to complete the cycle of being out on Laviska Shenault, by the way. I'm not about those Jacksonville wide receivers. He wasn't a great college producer. I think I'm out on Chase Claypool. I just made that video on talking about his rookie season. Like, I can't say enough good things about how impressive it is from what I expected, at least. And obviously the number of, you know, week-winning point weeks that he's putting up, like, you can't tell anyone he's bad right now. Everyone knows he's good. But I think I'm out on him in dynasty value, and it's really hard to justify right now. Let me see. I'm buying Rago. I'm full on sending it at this point. After Corey Davis, I will never give up on my wide receiver 1 ever again. It's N'Keal Harry. It's Jalen Rago. I'm just going to be buying them until they're out the league or they hit. And Mims, I really like as a value, and he's having a decent rookie season. He's better than JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who Mims is my JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I liked his prediction, but it was more about his late round first value that I liked because the upside is immense from that value. But and he's doing better than JJ did, and JJ I just gave up on. But Mims I'm still in on. His rookie season's really decent. He's at 25% target share now. He's still a little inefficient, but he's at 1 yards per team attempt, which is exactly kind of where you need him to be to kind of predict a good second and third year kind of a thing. He's still struggling to catch touchdowns, and his dominator hasn't quite risen to meet his target share right now. But yeah, I like Mims a lot. So yeah, he's on my list. I think Judy's interesting. I don't know where his value is right now. I don't hear a lot of talk on him. Donald Mooney, I don't have to buy. He's on most of my rosters. I wish he was more efficient. but he's kind of my, dark horse, lower drafted player from this class. And especially after his rookie season, which, he's got all the volume that I want. I just wish he'd been a little more efficient, but I'm not gonna throw stones at a guy with like late second, third round value. That's fine. KJ Hamler in Denver, he was higher drafted, but I was really high on him in his rookie year as well. Like this year, he's had a surprise, especially lately, a surprising role on that offense. Like it's been really positive. I just worry what happens when Cortland Sutton comes back, who's great. Jerry Jeudy's having a great rookie year with more draft capital. I don't know where Hamler fits in, but he's kind of on my, I can't predict the future of depth charts list. I haven't made a comprehensive list or anything, but, just looking through rookies, the other guy is Brian Edwards. Like, he's now at the value I'd want him. Like, before this season started, everyone pushed him up way too high, and I couldn't do it anymore. And now he's all the way back down. And I'm very much still in on Brian Edwards' college profile. Same with Tyler Johnson. Those are the last two names I can think of on the rookie list. Corey Davis has broken out. He broke out in year 2. Pretty much. Okay, he's wide receiver 25 instead of 24. But in his third season, I really pushed for that. And we all know he stunk. And A.J. Brown went off. But yeah, this is officially definitely a breaking out season. He's like wide receiver 17, I think, overall, and points per game. That crosses every threshold of breakout that we have. So even if you don't count his second year, yes, Corey Davis is just Devontae Parker. It's very rare for a high drafted player to wait this late to break out, which is why I'm pointing out his second year was really good. But yeah, Corey Davis, yeah, he's definitely a breakout, whether you want to count his second year or his first year, or his fourth year or whatever this is. Yeah, Corey Davis has broken out, most definitely. Yeah, he's wide receiver 18. I have him at 18th right now in points per game, 25 overall. I take the points per game rank there. And yeah, he's got a 24% target share. He's operating at 1.27, and you just saw elite to average of 1. And Corey Davis is at 1.27. Also, his ADOT's not particularly high. Like it's at 11, which is around about average, which means that this yards per team attempt number can be trusted. There is some truth to the higher, like yards per reception. The higher ADOT, the further down your field you operate, the easier it is to operate at a higher efficiency volume mix, like yards per team attempt. Corey Davis doesn't benefit from that way. It's the same way that Juju Smith-Schuster is outperforming his teammates because he's doing the same efficiency on a lower ADOT. And when you look at Tennessee, it's kind of the same deal. And I'm still on an A.J. Brown. I just think they have two good wide receivers right now. That's the truth. They're both operating at a similar ADOT. Actually, Corey Davis is a little further down the field. Weird. And he's actually doing better. Again, probably because of that higher ADOT. But both are outperforming their expected points to the tune of 4 or 5 points a game, which is really impressive. Like, they're both killing it. And Corey Davis is definitely a breakout. I just redid my ranks, as I mentioned. I only showed you the top 10 because that's what I had. But I moved Corey Davis into my top 24 in Dynasty. Like, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm never giving up on my favorite rookie wide receivers again, ever. And that's the lesson of Corey Davis, man. Yeah. Yeah. Mims is good. Keep them coming. That's true. Thanks, Guy. Yeah. Again, in what the most impressive rookie class, let's just say it. This is better than 2014. It just is. And Denzel Mims isn't in that group. It's T. Higgins, it's CeeDee Lamb, it's Justin Jefferson. Damn, forgot his name for a second. Yeah, that's the real stars of this class so far, but Mims is having a really good season. Something to remember at the 2014 class, we didn't rank them well after that year. We didn't have them in the right draft order. Like, we knew to be high on them, but I was just looking at that as well. Okay, well, that's Actually, this is the 2015 draft order when we overreacted essentially to 2014 and ranked, Dorial Green Beckham and Brashad Perryman at the end of the first round. Nelson Aguilar mid first round. Okay, that wasn't it either. Okay. I think I can do this quickly. I want to show you what we did with the 2014 class in year 2. And show you that Denzel Mims could easily still be one of the best players from this class, just based on, 2014. All right, so let's look at year 2 wide receivers, and it'll be in 2015. And this is ranked by ADP, right? Yeah, this is sorted by ADP. So this is the order we got. Odell Beckham, Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks, and Sammy Watkins, and Jordan Matthews. Jordan Matthews, I know you might forget, Jordan Matthews should have been above Sammy Watkins. It turns out, I'm not saying I got this right, I'm saying it turns out Jordan Matthews is the one who continued that impressive rookie season. Then Allen Robinson. So it's not that Odell Beckham and Mike Evans were wrong. That's fine. But then we got Brandon Cooks, who's been solid, but I think most of us would rather have, Allen Robinson right now, and Jordan Matthews for his second year was good. We've got Kelvin Benjamin, then Martavius Bryant, then Devontae Adams, who, like I say, right now to me should be the dynasty wide receiver 1 and is in my ranks. Let me zoom in. Then we've got Jarvis Landry, who's easily produced the largest number of top 24 seasons from this class, outside of Brandon Cooks, weirdly, even though those aren't the highest value wide receivers and the most steady producers. So, yeah, I mean, Devontae Adams was what? After their rookie season, that historic 2014 class, we ranked Devontae Adams 9th. So, yeah, there's still room for the what we know of the 2020 class to be different come year 2, year 3. So that's why, even though Denzel Mims is definitely not, you shouldn't have him anywhere near the value of T. Higgins and Justin Jefferson. Could we be looking at it differently 3 years down the road? Yes. He's had a good enough season that we should still keep that possibility in our minds that Denzel Mims could be in a conversation with Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, and CeeDee Lamb eventually. So there you go, Guy. There's your daily dose of don't entirely forget about Denzel Mims. Or Jalen Reagor, for that matter. He's in the same list for me. In fact, I have Reagor higher. If Juju leaves, I think Claypool's value will skyrocket. Yes, which is... If you want to buy Claypool right now to sell him in that case, great. Because that's a value move. I don't think it should if that were to happen. I think Juju is the best player. I think Claypool benefits from Juju. I think Deontay benefits from Juju. If he's not there, both of them suffer for that. Doesn't mean they're not good players or they won't do well without him, but I don't think the ceiling rises without Juju. But anyway, what were you saying? Juju vacated target argument, and I think that'll prove costly. Yeah, this is... Crossover is essentially saying what I just said. Sorry to cut you off there, Crossover. And again, Claypool's good. He might Kelvin Benjamin. Keep that in your mind. But I'm not saying that's going to happen. Claypool's had an amazing rookie season. And you should, if you like him, you should keep on keeping on, man. Keep on liking him. I would trade for the lowest value player of the 3, but Juju is at the top of my list. He's on a lot of my teams, I think, at this point, so I don't have to trade for him. Actually, I should check that. I can't remember how many teams I've got him on. I think it might be too low, actually. I tried to buy him this offseason. Actually, I recently sent a trade and someone felt insulted by what I offered, so I don't think people are as low on him as maybe I think they are. But yeah, Juju's my 1, and then it's whoever's cheaper out of those 3. For me, I like both Claypool and Deontay Johnson. Both having great years. Corey Davis has had a better career than Marcus Brown so far. Marcus Brown is really underrated. I really think in a higher passing offense, Marcus Brown could be held up to a top 15 wide receiver type career. And he's doing really well. Can I compare them? That's a better... All right, let me back up. Yes, I can directly, actually. All right. All right. Corey Davis had a poor rookie season. Marcus Brown had a very good rookie season. That's the first thing to know. And that's really important. Doing better earlier is always better. And so Marcus Brown probably, you should have Marcus Brown higher than we had Corey Davis coming out of his rookie season. Hang on. I'm having trouble organizing my thoughts on this one. Let me find him and then I'll talk. I love them both, though. I actually had Marcus Brown pretty high. Where is he? Why can't I find Marcus Brown on this list? There he is. Okay, so Marcus Brown had definitely a significantly better rookie year than Corey Davis. So both first-round draft picks, obviously. Problem with Marcus Brown, I really think he's not someone like Juju Smith-Schuster who can impress in any role that you put them in and provides his own floor and ceiling. I think Marcus Brown is a very good NFL player. He's doing one. I think Baltimore are very happy with him, put it that way. As an NFL player, I think he's good, like most of these guys. But for fantasy, I think he needs a higher passing team, and I don't think that's going to be Baltimore. And it's hard to project a ceiling for a player if he moves, because I don't tend to project how players are going to move around the league. I just take advantage of other people that try to do that. But Marcus Brown right now is operating at 23% target share. He's got a 15 ADOT and only a 0.8 yards per team attempt. That's a terrible yards per team attempt for a player operating with that bigger ADOT. However, he is impressing in volume, which is the main thing that a wide receiver can do. He's sucking up a significant percentage of that depth of the target share, or creating a significant percentage of that target share. And the team struggled. I really expected better things from Marcus Brown this season, but in that situation, I think he's doing very well. I think he's got a top 24 ceiling. Corey Davis is already a top 24 wide receiver. That's how I'd compare them right now. Marcus Brown has had a better career from rookie year. He hasn't hit the high notes Corey Davis did in year 2, and he hasn't already established himself as a top 24 wide receiver. Weirdly, though, I think Marcus Brown is going to have a higher dynasty value than Corey Davis right now. I mean, we can check. So many elements to this, but yeah, Marcus Brown is wide receiver 36 right now. Corey Davis is wide receiver 50. So weirdly, despite the fact that Corey Davis has become a top 24 wide receiver in 2020 and Marcus Brown hasn't done it, Marcus Brown is held as a higher value. And now you could say that's largely due to age, but I don't think so. I think it's recent memory of how high we had him in his draft class. And we had a lot of hope for Marcus Brown, and Baltimore's a good team, and so we like that too. But the passing volume's just not there for a player like Brown. And I don't think it's gonna be. So I really like Marcus Brown, but I would be happier having Corey Davis's floor and ceiling right now, because Brown's being held at an elevated artificial value. He's being held way too high. He's underrated, weirdly, and yet his value in Dynasty, because people want it to happen more, I guess. And he's in Baltimore. So it's really weird where people don't mention him, don't like him as much, but they hold him at a higher value. It's a hypocrisy of Dynasty value. When you go to make a trade, someone like Marcus Brown or Juju Smith-Schuster, which everyone's, Juju, no, you want Claypool and Deontay, and yet you can't get a trade done for Juju because there's hypocrisy in Dynasty value. I mean, it's not something we should change or can change, but it's a similar story. Juju isn't the best wide receiver on that depth chart, even though he is. But when you offer a wide receiver to trade for Juju, they're like, that's ridiculous. Well, then what are you saying, really? And it's the same with Marcus Brown. Like, he's underrated, but held at a pretty accurate value at wide receiver 36. That's about where I would want to buy him at. So it's awkward. So Corey Davis is both a better value and a more proven player in terms of fantasy points. Because what do I know about, if they're good NFL players? But Corey Davis has proved a better floor, better ceiling in fantasy points, and Marcus Brown is held at a higher value. That's how I would compare them, if that helps. Hang on 1 second. I got to mute. My family's about to leave, so I got to go say goodbye, and then I'll be back. But let me get through these comments here. Hey, Philly Special, glad you liked it, man. Martavius, never forget. No, the one to forget on this one for me is that Devontae Adams, especially this year, and he was what? He was a second-round pick, right? That we liked, but not as well. And then he had he had 104 fantasy points his rookie season, which is actually great, but we seem to, be low on him, even with Adams at quarterback or whatever. I don't know, people like that narrative. That's the one I'm trying to keep in mind of 2014. It could be Jalen Reagor, it could be Denzel Mims. And it doesn't have to happen. There doesn't have to be a Devontae Adams in the 2020 class, don't get me wrong. But I want to keep it in my head. There might be an Adams, there might be a Landry, there might be a John Brown, a player that's just, slightly lower despite being good college players and having decent rookie seasons, but not the best rookie season in that class, right? And so when I look at Mims and look at Reagor, that's the hope I have for him. That's why I'm going to keep buying him. I don't like to bet on quarterback for wide receiver. It's like, look, Lamar Jackson's a great NFL QB. He's a good passing QB and a great fantasy QB. It's not helping out Marcus Brown. It's such an intricate mix that we can't really get to, or hope to get to. That's how the best analysts make their names. There are things you can't, just a slug like me trying to keep up with the best stats. Like I don't have a knack or an instinct or a talent for reading how depth chart's going to gel, right? That's something like, Rich Harbaugh or Anthony or Evan Silver. That's the thing they have that's talent and not replicatable for a schlub like me. And so, but yeah, that's upside. Hopefully for Mims, the Jets can't get worse. Well, they can if they keep Adam Gase, actually. To be honest, they really can. But yeah, hopefully, it's got to get better than this, right? But that's, one of those fallacy arguments. Right. Yeah, it's difficult. I want both of them, but Corey Davis is held at wide receiver 50, man, and Marcus Brown is wide receiver 36, which, I don't mind spending that on Marcus Brown, but there's not a top 12. Maybe there's a top 12 ceiling there, but it's like 35% percentile outcome, it feels like very top range. But it's possible, and I like the player, so I'm not going to bet against it. Yeah, I would buy both, but Corey Davis is an easier buy and easier to say that he's got a floor. But that's, I'm a truther, man. I'm a truther. Yeah, give me a second here. Where we at, man? Sorry, my family had to. What are they doing? Going Christmas shopping somewhere in particular? I don't know. What were we talking about? Corey Davis and Marcus Brown? Oh, yeah, I gotta edit this thing. Is what's supposed to be their age in 2015? Oh, in that, maybe. I forget how I have this one set up. Yeah, I think so. It was dragged from DLF back when, though, so I could have got it wrong. I don't use this one for age, put it that way. So I never verify it. I have my own age data. Oh, where's I don't know. Let's see. Odell Beckham's what, 28 now? So 5 years ago, would have been 23. So yeah, it looks like this was wrong. I must have dragged their age from DLF from a different point, from a different year, kind of a thing. Yeah, because you can't be 25 in two different seasons, you know. So this must be the age from, you know, whatever year I collected it instead of the individual year. Again, it's just a column I don't use. The only thing I really use this for is the ADP in order to come up with their ranks in different years, get a sense of value. What I do with it is actually, which I used to post a lot more than I do these days now I think about it, player tracker, so that I can pull up all players, whoever number I like, and see what their draft round was and what their finish was, so I can decide, so I can calculate how many value years they get, like how many years they were drafted below their actual ADP. That's what I use this one for. But that also means I have ADP in here, so when I want to compare 2020 to 2014, it's an easy database to pull up. No, it's not right. No. Yeah, let's say that age column came from one of the, like, I went to DLF, copied and pasted this data, and whatever the age was at that moment in time when I copied it, that's the one that's just been continually repeated as I've populated different ADPs from the different years. It's not actually their age. Again, this is just me tracking DLF data. It's not part of my database or anything. I think that's what happened anyway. Again, it wasn't a column I was paying attention to, so could have got it wrong. I think that's the way DLF works anyway. I have that pulled up right now. Yeah, see, it gives you the age at the moment that you take it. Like the moment you copy and paste this, there's a little age column here. And so that just continually got repeated as I was copying the different data. So apparently I copied that data down whenever Odell Beckham was 25 years old. So 3 years ago. Wow, 3 years ago? Wow. Have I been doing that this long? Adam Thielen is wide receiver 33 in Dynasty. I mean, okay, he's on. There's a buy for you. Like, why would you operate with that much fear in your heart? He's 30 years old. He might break. Man, I'm like 34 or something. I ain't breaking. Keenan Allen's down here too. Keenan Allen is wide receiver 22. It's just kind of crazy. Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver 18. Okay, bro. But that has to be the most egregious one, right? Why is it always Adam Thielen? Why is it always the undrafted free agents? It's just, you hate to see it. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to go see my Juju Smith-Schuster exposure order. I have him in 30% of leagues. The sticky board is what I use the most often, but you can also use, what is it, Galaxy or Fantasy Galaxy or Galaxy Planet or something. That's a good one too. And it tracks your share and ownership. But yeah, I have 30% Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'd take more. They don't like her. Well, it doesn't seem to matter, right? I mean, this is just my weekly debate with Jacob Rickroad about wide receivers and their necessary quarterbacks. Like Devontae Adams is Aaron Rodgers, who everyone thought was trash now this offseason. Keenan Allen has Justin Herbert, great, but he was doing it with Phillip Rivers before now. That's not an elite quarterback. Tyreek Hill has Patrick Mahomes, fair. Stefon Diggs has Josh Allen, the noted not elite passer. DeAndre Hopkins just does it with everyone, apart from that 1 year. Allen Robinson is like 7th right now, apparently. He's wide receiver 11 with trash at quarterback. Like, I get it. You need quarterback, but you don't need quarterback. No. And Kirk Cousins throws the ball effectively enough. And he throws the ball a lot. He just throws a lot of interceptions, which, doesn't really affect wide receiver stats. Yeah, Thielen is wide receiver 5 right now, points per game. I mean, who cares? Justin Jefferson is wide receiver what? 9? I mean, Justin Jefferson is wide receiver 1. Yeah, I know you do, man. But, I mean, you can't like Justin Jefferson in your top 5. And then not like Adam Thielen. It's not. It's draft capital and age. That's it. And yeah, he's old, but a wide receiver 33, yeah. I would be okay if I bought T.Y. Hilton for this year at wide receiver 33. I still wouldn't have lost anything. And look what T.Y. Hilton's done. This has been a bad year for T.Y. Hilton, let's face it. I mean, what's wide receiver 33? A second round pick? That's crazy. And here's the hypocrisy of it. I mean, that's ADP. But I bet if we go to calculator, you can't ask the calculator to give you that value. And that's not hypocrisy in the tools, that's hypocrisy in us, how we draft players versus how we value it. All right, so he's 276 points. And a first-round pick for next year is 500 points. All right. So is that about a second-round pick then? Oh, that's an early first. Okay, there you go. Let's say mid-first. Yeah. He's worth about a mid-first-ish, according to the trade calculator. But he's ranked as wide receiver 33. All right. I don't buy that. That to me seems like the hypocrisy of dynasty value. Yeah, okay, that's closer. Basically, a mid to late first round pick for Adam Thielen. Okay. Yeah. Need I remind you who we spent a mid to late first round pick on in 2015? Nelson Aguilar, winner. Mir Abdullah. Sure glad I gave up that top 5 wide receiver. Brashad Perriman, Dorial Green Beckham, Tevin Coleman, and Duke Johnson. Just solid idea there to trade away Adam Thielen for that kind of value. I do. I have a formula for efficiency plus volume. So do you. If you want to merge efficiency and volume at wide receiver or running back for that matter, or tight end. I'm not sure about quarterback, but it's the same stat. This is actually efficiency plus role in the offense, but yards per team per attempt. That's what it is. It's a merger of their efficiency or their production efficiency with their role on that team. That's for me the best way of describing it. And Chad Hansen, clearly the dynasty wide receiver one, but after that it goes Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, T.Y. Hilton, Tyreek Hill, sorry, Terry McLaurin, Will Fuller, and the names that sound weird are more about other aspects, not how well they play this year, right? So yeah, that for me is that is the formula for efficiency plus volume. For me, I think, yeah. Corey Davis 13th on that list, by the way. Right, that would be Ben Baducci low, yeah. That's exactly what's going on. David Montgomery? Yeah. I mean, he's a top 24 running back. You can't really beat that volume for that price either because he's kind of priced there. Unlike a lot of top 24 running backs that get pushed ahead of top 12 wide receivers ridiculously. So, yeah, he's fine if we're talking David Montgomery, the running back. I mean, yeah. I prefer to search for the Myles Gaskins or the fucking cheaper versions of it, but David Montgomery is fine. Let's see, 1.37 yards per team attempt. If we look at the top 12 running backs, points per game. Let's do points per game because then we get Christian McCaffrey. The average for top 12 is 0.67. So, yeah, he's very much a top 24 running back. And as far as I remember, I mean, his points have been that, right? I mean, he was good last week. I know that because I used him in DFS. Yeah, this is actually pretty good production from a running back in 2020. He's got 3 games over 20 points. 4, 5 over 15. I mean, it's about what you get in 2020, man. It's not a running back year. I tell you what. Let's do it by position. I'm doing a thing. Oh, this is what we'll do. I think I can do that with this. It's been a while, though. Ah, crap. I usually do this with the 4for4 database. It's set up a little better for this, but I think I can do it. I've got a position. Oh, I've got one. Yeah, I got one. I need a column that tells me what they were ranked at in each week. I think I have one in here. Position rank PPR. Yeah, that'll do it. I want to see how many games running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends are having over a certain point threshold, so we can see, what you can expect. Oh, okay. I tell you what we'll have to do. Okay. So these are the top 12 running backs so far in PPR points. And then we want to know... Where are the wide receivers? Yeah, David Montgomery is above replacement level, I'd say. I forgot to answer that question. Yeah. Thought so. Okay. Top 12 running backs and wide receivers that produce these. This is a number of games they produced over 15 PPR points. So you've got 2 running backs producing 10 games above 15 PPR points, 1 wide receiver. But then look at the drop off at running back 8. That's just kind of what happens at running back in general after the top 5, in this case, top 7. Like Montgomery is actually wide receiver, running back 10 overall in points. He's had 4 games above 15. Three games above 20. Yeah, he's beyond replacement level. He's been top 12. It's just what top 12 production looks like at running back. I mean, he's had as many games over 20 points as Antonio Gibson this season. Right. Well, actually, depends on the context here. I think there are like 4 or 5 teams that get good quarterback performance. The rest, we're just hoping for average, and there's at least 10 a season that get that level of crap at quarterback. As a Bears fan, Montgomery is definitely a good player, but his situation is abysmal. He's basically last year's version of Le'Veon Bell and will be overdrafted in fantasy next year. Yeah, yeah. But I've been that way for a while. Talking about it in 2020 is, seems like overreaction, but that's how I drafted my teams this offseason. I love running back production. It wins you leagues, but there's about 5 of them that do that, if we're lucky. And most of the time, especially on a week-to-week basis, it comes from Raheem Mostert or Mike Gesicki, or Wayne Gorman's been a top 5 running back multiple weeks, But we literally draft, and I was talking about this offseason with Scott Fishbowl ADP. So you guys and me guys who know what they're doing, there were 24 running backs that went off the board in average ADP for the Scott Fish Bowl before the top 12 wide receivers were off the board. That's not the top. That's unless everyone thinks everyone else is getting the top 5 wrong, which is true, but I don't think that's why. I think we value top 24 running backs more than top 12 wide receivers, even though those top 12 wide receivers are more likely to be top 12 wide receivers than those running backs are to be top 24 running backs. And that's been true for a while. That's not a 2020 thing. But yeah, Montgomery, I don't think he'll be overdrafted. Everyone's too used to thinking of him as meh at this point. I think he's a good player. And he clearly can be a top 12 running back. But, I'd value him in that tier of top 24 running backs where, yeah, that's the value I'd pay for most running backs outside of 5. And those are the 5 I think are going to do it. And the ones who actually do it and surprise me, I'm going to go out and pay what I need to get them in that season. Because running backs are this season move. Unless you're playing someone else for value. Tariq Cohen comes back. Yeah, and Tariq Cohen's good. He's not Alvin Kamara, Tristan McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and Derrick Henry. And that's basically my top 5 running backs. And insert probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And, I'll probably get hyped up on some rookie this year that, Ray G promises me is excellent and maybe think about putting him in the top 7. I mean, it's rough. Slayton, I missed out on a big chunk of the Slayton, by the way. Guy says, missed out on a big chunk of the stream because of work. How are you feeling about Slayton? Time to give up on him. His usage has been horrible. Only week 1. You need to talk to Bobby Koch about Darius Slay because he's a guy who liked him a lot. I normally like my lower drafted wide receivers, obviously. But I really wasn't on Slayton. I didn't see him coming, and that's partly why. But because we're biased against our own takes. That's just the truth. And he's actually played decently this season. He's got an 18% target share, apparently, and a 0.83 yards per team attempt. Again, if I'm going to look at 2 numbers, that's probably it. And so he's played decently, and he's actually earning decent volume. I don't think. Yeah, he can get a top 24 season. I think that's a ceiling. That was always a ceiling for him. I don't think he's Victor Cruz reincarnated, which I think was kind of Bobby's, not that he'd put it that way, was his hope for him. I'm not seeing, but pardon me. I get that stuff wrong a lot. I think he's interesting. I don't think he's a drop, but I'd probably be the guy trading him away for a second or higher than trading for him at a second or higher, put it that way. So, yeah, that's where I'm at Slayton. I think he's a decent player. Really happy to see it happen, as I always am, for these guys that are long shots. Really have to work hard, harder, to get these opportunities and then do well with it. He deserves a lot of respect. But, yeah, he's not on that my guy list. And Bobby Koch is going to have a better inkling on what his future may bring, to be honest with you, because he's a Giants fan, and he saw him coming a little bit, so he's much more aware of him than I am. I think he's played decently, but there are other players I'd target with that value. I would cash out on Slayton if I could. But, if you like him more, you should just keep liking him. That's always my line. Philly, I don't know what I explained, but I'm glad you think I'm a wizard, man. I love it. Appreciate you, man. I've had him on my podcast twice. Once was like a 3-parter as well, because we got into a big, long argument. I love having Reggie on my podcast. That's the only time I get views. Everyone shows up to see what Ray has to say, and people listen and watch the podcast. Honestly, but yeah, sure. And I will this off season where it's rookies eventually again, and that's Ray's wheelhouse. He does a lot of stuff, but I think where he loves being is talking about prospect evaluation. He loves Devy. He loves college football. And so, yeah, I'll always try and get him on during that season, get a film taker's perspective on rookies coming in. Yeah, I can't say I will because I can't speak for Ray, but I'll try. I'll ask, see if he says no. I've actually only ever had said one person outright say no. And it actually wasn't for not wanting to be on, but I'm not going to tell the story that way because it's more fun. He knows who he is. It's because he had work and stuff, and he has work stretching out in front of him for affinity and didn't really feel like scheduling podcasts. But yeah, eventually when I tell that, it's going to come up on someone else's podcast eventually, and I'm thinking of making it out like, you know, it was shade. Because that would be fun. Oh, that's too low. I was trying to turn my music down a bit. Sorry. I think I went a bit too far. I don't know. Is going to a headache this draft season trying to rank the rookies with the overall wide receivers. Yeah. I look forward to it, to be honest, because there are basically the same arguments every year, especially about stuff like that. And it's a little daunting knowing I'm going to be going into the sample size versus proven versus, you know, hype and shiny new thing. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of, I mean, Michael Thomas has been pushed outside the top 5 wide receivers right now. And I'm not even a big Michael Thomas guy. I just respect the production and, you know, what he's done. Like, it would be great if he's done because he's the big outlier for college prospect production metrics. If we can just push him away, it looks a lot better. But, like, no one questioned that he was number 1 overall. And he's been injured. And when he's in, he's getting a 52% target share. And people are like, yeah, but he can't be above Justin Jefferson. So yeah, we're already tilting over shiny new things. It's going to be fun and a headache at the same time. Yeah, that's why I do kind of suspect that's why I pulled this up, just so I can have it on hand. Just to remind everyone that we drafted Kevin White, like, what is that, 4th overall? Just wide receiver success does sustain. Having a good rookie season is more likely that they're going to be good, like incredibly more likely that they're going to be good the rest of their career. But I do think we carry that over into, all rookie wide receivers are great, and we'll draft Kevin White. I mean, it took 4 years for Devontae Parker to be decent, and I liked him as a prospect. I really disagreed with that Kevin White, but like I was in on Parker. So I can't even say that's just other people. I wanted Parker a lot. Mari Cooper's definitely worked out, which no one values now because now he's now pushed outside of the top 12 for some people. Like, and this is the guy that hit in that second class, and we're going to rank all these 2021 wide receivers, you know, astronomically, and it's a different class. And history may be a circle, but it's not a perfect circle, right? 2020 isn't 2014, 2015 isn't 2020, 21, or whatever. That's myopic. It's stupid to think that way, but it is interesting to know that last time we did strongly overreact to it. Keep it in mind. That's good to know, you know? Just maybe the back of your head while trading away Adam Thielen for wide receiver X, who may be Brashad Perryman. In the back of your head, it might be good to know that we did that one time. Probably shouldn't have. I didn't. We as a community literally did that. Sorry, I'm checking DMs. Why am I streaming during the I'm not streaming during the Steelers game. I'm streaming on Mondays like I do every week. It's not my fault the NFL decides to cut my schedule. This is my schedule. This is what I got. I've got Mondays free to do a stream, so I stream on Mondays, and the NFL, out of the blue, decides to play games on Mondays. So there's a question on Twitter, not in chat. Yeah, sorry about that. For some reason, Dynasty Crossroads isn't showing up on Google Podcasts, specifically Google Play and stuff like that. And I don't know why. I've asked repeatedly. Don't know. I think everyone else is, and I'm uploading them to the same stream, the same HTT feed or whatever. And mine just has stopped uploading, but it's there. I can send you all the links you want. It's on Stitcher because I check it downloads there. It's on iTunes. It's everywhere except for Google. Where's my podcast thing? I found a link that links to everywhere, if you know what I mean. So I share that link. So no matter what podcast anyone else is using, they can find it on that. But yeah, it's a link. I mean, check any other podcast service, and Dynasty Crossroads has been weekly. Apart from this week, I still haven't made a podcast for this last weekend. I got to do that. But yeah, every week I haven't missed a week. I've done 2 some weeks. If you haven't seen it on your feed, I don't know, man. I don't know why. Yeah, but I mean, and I know they're trying their best, but I heard about the 2020 running back class, not the 2020 class. I heard about the 2020 running back class for 3 years, and it's not that they're not good. I talked badly about them because they were talked so highly about. And they're very good. They're having a great rookie season, and it feels disappointing because we had 3 straight years of basically trade all your Adam Thielens, trade all your first to get this rookie running back class. Then we drafted all the running backs, top 5 picks were all running backs, and then we want the wide receivers. And it's almost a meme at this point to say every year we talk about how great the next class is going to be, but we talk about how great the next class is going to be every year, even in 2015 and 16 and 17 when it sucked. And 2018 was good, and I liked it a lot, and we've been decent on it. And then 2019, and it was good, and 2020, and it was good. And sometimes it's not good, but our level of enthusiasm for the class almost never drops. Unless you are sometimes down on a class, then I can't care that you are always up on a class. There has to be, if you're always saying rookies are going to be great, what does it matter? You said, I mean, all rookies are going to be great, But yeah. They have been saying for a while that 2021 is full of great wide receivers. And it probably is. Devy people know what they're talking about, right? But I don't know how to value it when you are always excited, always looking at the, great. Like, there's no middle ground. There's no bad, good, medium. There's just these guys are always going to be great. They're going to be great players this year. And there is always great players, but sometimes it's DeAndre Hopkins, who no one liked. And that was a terrible draft class, but DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen came out of it. So it was a great draft class. But those weren't the players. Like, there was a smattering of wide receivers and running backs that we thought were going to be great. And most of them weren't. So is this a great wide receiver, a great class because there were going to be 2 great players who are going to be hard to find, or a great class because there are 10 like this year in 2014? And there's no way of estimating the Divi hype around that. It's always going to be 50 players are going to be great. It always feels like there's going to be, a 2014, like, it means nothing if it's always positive. It also means nothing if it's always negative, which is why I like 2018. Turns out I should have liked 2019, and I got a lot wrong that year. And I like 2020 wide receivers a lot. Like, I feel like by being willing to be wrong, because they're going to be great players every year eventually. So, being willing to be wrong about which ones and which classes are going to produce more or less actually gives value rather than every class being great at some level. Because you can always prove that every class is great at some level by looking at that 4th round pick like T.Y. Hilton that hit or Stefan Diggs that hit. Look how great it was. But that wasn't why we liked it. That's why we didn't draft him in the first. Yeah. This is a hobby horse rant. I'm getting off it. I'm getting off this here hobby horse. Time for me to ride a real pony. They were down on the tooth. I would respect that more. I was a little down, and that's why I say 2019. It's one of my worst. I didn't dislike them. I had a lot of problems, like AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. I liked their production. I was worried about how little of it I saw. I just couldn't like Brandon Ayuk, frankly. There wasn't enough for me to really get a good idea of what they were. There was enough to say they were good, but I didn't know how much to like them. But anyway, that's my excuses made. So I was a little low on it, and I got it wrong. But I was willing to be low on it. And great wide receivers come from that class, highly drafted, so they got them right. And I was low, so I'm wrong. Unless you're willing to take that hit, being high in a class doesn't mean nothing to me. Yep. Shows 10 episodes at a time. That pod link I just sent, like I can see Henry Rugg. I can see my last. I can actually see my last 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see every episode from 131 to 140. And that's all the recent ones. Henry Ruggs was last week. I've got to make one for this week or this past week that I haven't done. But yeah, anything that operates through Google Podcasts, for some reason, I don't show up there. I have not figured that out yet. If you go through like Apple or Stitcher, they should all be there. I'm going to check iTunes now I say that. Yeah, this podcast is not available or yet published according to Google Podcasts. Liars. Liars. It's very published. And I'm on iTunes. Yeah, it's all over iTunes. All the episodes are there. And Stitcher, I know it's all there because I listen to it there. I know. I don't want to tell you to listen to it because I only want one podcast app as well. So I'm not going to expect you to download 2. But yeah, I can give you the direct feed actually if you want to listen to it through the website because it's hosted on a website which then streams to all the. Let me see. Then you don't have to download an app. You follow a link. Why not? Like this is the website that LF podcasts get uploaded to. So you can watch it from the, the raw feed if you want. Or listen to it from the raw feed. Don't have to download an app that way. I don't know why it's not on Google. It's really frustrating. Honestly, like if I'm ever upset about anything about fantasy football, that's it. Right? Like just let me be on Google, man. No idea how many people contacted me like, hey, I used to love listening to your show, but and I get it. I don't download a second app either. If I'm listening to everything on Google Podcasts, I'm not downloading another app so I can listen to your specific show. It's not happening. I get it, but it's frustrating. Yeah, I gotta upload another episode pretty soon. No problem, man. What are you doing at work at this time, by the way? Gee, missing part of the stream because of work? You know I'm working, man. Get a better job. I kid. Remember, Deontay Johnson is good. JJ Zacharyson. Official quote from 2020. Okay. I'm trying my best. I'm busy remembering that Juju is good. But yeah, Deontay's good too. Stoner's so funny, man. Yeah, I'm really glad I'm buying the Scott Fishbowl this week. It's not looking like it's getting any better. Averaging 150, 160 points. Week 13, I score 93. Okay. 0.5 points, Juju. Come on, man. I just spent an entire stream talking about how you're like the best. I'm getting more points from Eric Ebron. Same game, same team. Oh, come on, man. It's painful. I figured it was a time zone thing, actually. That makes more sense. I thought I was the only one who worked nights. Come on now. And I am, because, you're in a different time zone. Can we start a Raise Juju's ADOT hashtag? Yeah, for real. And again, he's still doing really well with that ADOT. That's the impressive thing. Just hold on to that. That's all I'm holding on to, man. Gonna have to make so many Juju arguments. Just, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I know it's misspelled ranks. I know. So what did we decide I'm going to record about for my podcast? Because I really have to do that 2 days ago. I guess I'm going to rant about Adam Thielen, maybe a little bit. No, I feel like ranting about that some more. And one suggestion I did get was talk about the age apex. You were hoping I went the other direction for it, but this one, I'll put my own flavor on it, but it'll essentially be about that, right? Adam Thielen shouldn't be wide receiver 33. You're all hypocrites. You won't trade for me at that value. People are likening me to a Bible salesman for Juju Smith-Schuster. And which is actually the way that phrasing of that tweet and that response came up. Hello, Sarah Madam. That's what was in my head. Are you aware it's Corey Davis season? Have you heard the good news? And someone just posted, do you have a few minutes to talk about Corey Davis and how he will save your season? Very true. Very true. Wide receiver 18, don't you know? Hope springs eternal for N'Keal Harry now. Devontae Parker and Corey Davis are showing the way. Oh, shit. Oh, God, this chat. I'm constantly talking. Oh, what we got here? Would you be worried if for, say, Alan. Hang on, Would you be worried if, for, say, Allen Robinson went to the Ravens in terms of his fantasy production? No. I mean, Allen Robinson seems to be able to do what Allen Robinson can do in all sorts of terrible situations. Look, the Ravens are a better team. Allen Robinson is more able to sustain his own floor and ceiling than Marcus Brown. That's what I was talking about when I said that. Like, Marcus Brown's a really good player. I really think there's upside there. But he's not Allen Robinson. He can't sustain what Allen Robinson can, all by his little lonesome. And remember, Allen Robinson's had nightmare after nightmare at quarterback, after nightmare, after we hoped he would have slightly less of a nightmare, and then he had that for a while, and then he went back to the nightmare. So, I mean, that's Allen Robinson's career. But he's still been good because that's the type of player he is. I don't think that's where we're at with Marcus Brown. And, you know, I can throw out narratives for it, like height, weight, downfield role, Allen Robinson being more competitive in a more physical game. In a tougher situation, you're going to have less separation, and a quarterback who can hit quarterbacks in bigger windows instead of smaller windows. We could go down, but let's just, you know, real talk. Allen Robinson is more able to sustain his own production with the level of his game than someone like Marcus Brown is. That's essentially what all that boils down to. So Allen Robinson on Baltimore is a good thing because that's a good team who's going to use its talent well, and Allen Robinson is an immensely talented player. I think Marcus Brown is as well, but Allen Robinson would help Marcus Brown. That goes back to the Juju Smith-Schuster thing. Like, I think you add Allen Robinson to a depth chart, that helps other players on that depth chart. Again, I mean, it limits their ceiling and volume in some way, not in a vacated target sense, but there is some connection to that, to the players on a team versus how much you can create for yourself. But it also elevates the number of times they're in the red zone, the number of touchdowns they have, the amount of scoring opportunities, the amount of times they're winning games so they can feel a little better, breathe a little easier, whatever. How comfortable the quarterback feels if you've got Allen Robinson on the field to throw to versus not having Allen Robinson to throw to in a dire situation, you know? So you add Marcus Brown to another team, I think he's good, man. I think he's a good player. They'll be happy to have him. I don't think he can elevate the team. I don't think he sustains his own floor and ceiling. That's all kind of what I mean by that. And again, I'm just spitting the narrative to explain how I feel about them, which is, you know, nonsense. In a certain way, if you feel differently, you can just feel differently. But that's the statistical argument for it is just the proof of what they're able to do for themselves. So the level of volume Allen Robinson has been able to sustain on bad offenses is more impressive than what Marcus Brown has done in good offenses. The level of production Allen Robinson has put up is better than what Marcus Brown, and that no matter how you want to judge it, by age, career year, best year, worst year, last year, it doesn't matter. Allen Robinson's just always been better, and actually the same is true of the college profiles in this particular case. So am I worried for Allen Robinson? Not really. He can go anywhere. I think he's going to be good. I think if he goes to a good team like the Ravens, I would hope that is more positive for Allen Robinson. He can hit the highest range of his outcomes. Highest range of his outcomes would be him with, you know, Patrick Mahomes or fucking some widget. Pardon me. But that would be a good thing for Allen Robinson. A better team when he's already able to do so much by himself, for the team, that'd be a good thing. On the reverse, if Marcus Brown goes to the Jets, I think that's bad for Mark. I think that would also be good for Brown. That's a Robbie Anderson type situation. That's who he is. Okay. Marcus Brown is Robbie Anderson. He can suck up enough of the offense. He can do pretty decently with it. But unless the depth chart is just dearth, and so you get all the targets and a Ryan Fitzpatrick thrown in, he's going to do it by himself. He's going to need a greater team or a worse team that throws a lot, you know? I mean, comparing these players in and of themselves is an exercise in futility. They're all very different people, and they're all very different players. They all respond to different situations differently as well, to be fair. But, you know, that's what I'm spitting. That's what I'm sticking with. Yeah, right now, Allen Robinson is able to offset the team's efficiency. The team struggled to get to the red zone, frankly, a lot, by being extremely efficient himself. But if he goes to a lower volume team that's better at getting to the red zone by themselves, it kind of evens out, you know? But I think a good player in a good situation is better than a good player in a bad situation as a whole. That's when they can hit their highest range of outcomes. So I would think Allen Robinson going there, he can still be efficient on a good team with lower volume, you know, because he's a really good player. So I would suspect that I would like him even more on the Ravens. And I would like Marcus Brown a lot more because he has Allen Robinson to help the team and therefore help him. But here we're predicting depth. We're doing a lot of things that I can't claim to have any particular skill at, you know? Again, some people have a talent for weighing how a team's going to gel together, and they do wonders with it, and I just listen to what they say. But if you're asking me, that's kind of how I generally think about players in positions. That's how I go about it. I trust players that have proven a certain level of competency, especially like that's why like Terry McCollum just like L'd on me. Like he pounded me into the ground from a distance without even knowing who I am with one giant L. This season has been amazing. And part of it is because he's doing it in such a terrible situation. You can offset team efficiency with your volume, which he's doing. But you also have to be good enough to suck up all the air in the room when there's no one else, which not everyone can do. That's why, you know, there isn't always a good wide receiver 2 in Green Bay, you know? Now Randall Cobb isn't Randall Cobb, and he's not there anymore. So, yeah, I kind of adjust all three of those things together, try and build a narrative. But again, I have no particular genius for doing it, but that's how that's what I find how it works most often. And so that's where I go to, you know? And Allen Robinson can offset the team's volume with his excellence. And if it's a terrible team, he can just suck up more volume because it's a terrible team, so there's no one else that comes close, and he just sucks up all the volume. You know what I mean? I don't think Marcus Brown, as he's proving in Baltimore, he can't do that by himself. That's something that a player like Allen Robinson can do by himself. And that's not necessarily comparing how good they are. I mean, a tape guy might go to their skill set and jump balls. And I don't know. You could describe it a different way, but I think we'd be describing the same thing. See what I mean? But Allen Robinson's getting old, so obviously sell him in Dynasty. No. Titans and Vikings. I think the Titans are still a lot lower volume than Minnesota, to be honest with you. Minnesota still throws more, despite the rise of Dalvin Cook. I mean, Kirk Cousins can throw, you know. But remember, you're talking about two teams who have produced multiple top 24 wide receivers back-to-back seasons because it was Thielen and Diggs. And Diggs can do it independently of Thielen, and Thielen can do it independently of Diggs. They're different. They can do it. I would put them on the players that can do that for themselves. Again, you can break that into skill set. I just trust what they've proven they can do with their own numbers. What's the way to put this? I'm trying to come up with another top of my head comparison. It's like Christian Kirk, I think, is a really solid player, but in that way, he's more like Marcus Brown. I think he's really solid, but Larry Fitzgerald goes down. There is more opportunity there, and he kind of ekes into it, but he doesn't, you know, balloon up. He doesn't do what Allen Robinson can do now. There's a slightly weaker depth chart. Is that the best example I can think of off the top of my head? Yeah, I guess. Odell just seems to be riddled with injuries the last few years. I don't know how I can compare him. Compared to Landry, Landry sustains his own volume and creates his own PPR points. Even when the team's doing badly, Landry's been doing pretty well, you know? One year he did it by being an amazing red zone threat, which is definitely not what he typically does. but he's able to sustain his own production, you know? Yeah, it would have been nice to see a healthy Landry and a healthy Odell on the same team. I think they could have done wonders for each other. I think they did as well as they could. Sorry, reading messages very rude of me. Like, it's a different formula. It's a difficult formula to break down. And again, just to emphasize it, I don't think I have any particular talent at predicting how well a team will gel together. Some of that is magic sauce, right? Some of that is what people are always calling for, a connection between. And the reason that always is a narrative is because how will we know, you know, if they get along or if that's a positive or a negative thing? That's going to be. There's a magic sauce to it. I think Jake. I know this is a weird reference, but Jake Anderson, he's, I think, or my previous co-host, I don't think you all ever really recognize how right he got most things. Like, I like to stunt on him and own and honestly compete. And I think I'm really good at some things, predictions, numbers, tracking them and doing the groundwork. And I think I get a lot right and I win at a high rate. And I get a lot of rookie hits. I'm pretty good at rookie hits. But in terms of predicting the NFL, which direction it's going to go, how well a team's going to gel together, also running back evaluation, weirdly. Like, Jake, even as he's more of a casual sports fan than someone who grinds, especially now he's mostly concentrated on golf, he's still better at that than me. I think there's a talent to it. He was poo-pooed that idea, but just reads the game of football on how it's going to gel together better than me. I'm not saying I can do that with Odell and Landry or Allen Robinson and Marcus Brown. What I'm doing, because I don't think I have that talent, is looking at past trends and how opportunity seems to flow. And, you know, I wrote the articles, put them out. You've probably seen me post the link, if not read them. And so I default to that. My understanding of how that has worked on average. Now, the problem with that is the fallacy of the average means it's probably not going to work exactly that way. Marcus Brown could go to Chicago and slay it. And I'd just be like, yeah, I always like Marcus Brown. I did say he was underrated, you know. But if you, based on the research I've done on how it typically works with players who have proven different levels of production, different levels of ability in terms of efficiency, in terms of volume, that's how I read it. Now, as someone like Jake or you yourself, if you think you do a particularly good job of that, like, nah, Allen Robinson would suck in the Ravens, then you may well be right. What I'm doing is comparing to those past trends and how I think that would work out in this fictional situation. And again, no particular talent for it, but it's without talent, I got to rely on what I see happening most often and then try and just think around how that will work in that situation. It's entirely fictional. And my reading of it, I'm promising you right now, is never going to be the best. But I have, like you know, like all of us, we've got to make the best decisions we can. And that's what I'm going to rely on to do that. And I'm just trying to share that with you, a perspective on it, so you don't have to do all that groundwork. Disagree with it, you just go off in the other direction. That's fine. And we'll have fun arguing about it no matter how it works out, because it's just football. It's fun. Yep. Yeah, exactly. In a sense, Odell is a very good player, but the low volume. Yeah, I think Odell has done pretty well in Cleveland. I think he's been riddled by injuries and not being on the field. That's what I see. Or maybe he got worse at football or the diva stuff. I really don't see that with him. I think he is a player that proved he could provide, like Allen Robinson. He's that level. And I think I've seen him do that when he's healthy, when he's on the field, kind of a thing. I mean, I haven't looked in a while because it's been so depressing. But I mean, what's he been doing in Cleveland? And clearly, you know, he's not been the fantasy stud and I think a few of us hoped he could be, even in Cleveland. And so that way you're right. But look, I mean, he's more efficient than he's got a 0.96, which is definitely better than Marcus Brown. It's definitely better than a few players we've looked at. Like, I think he's doing pretty well with what he's got. He's only had a 22% target share. That reads to me like a player who isn't healthy. But I'm not a doctor. I don't believe that's what Odell Beckham is. I think he's an Allen Robinson. He could have, but struggled to. And I think it's more external. Then, Allen Robinson isn't a top 12 guy. And Odell Beckham definitely isn't. But points per game, 66 or 40, and then 66 overall. He's only getting 11 expected points per game. You have a weird mix there because you've got two players like Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham who really are that, for me, Allen Robinson, the type of player who can provide for themselves. And I rarely see that. I saw it in college, and they both seem to limit each other's floors. So you've got another little side variable here, which is that both two players who can do that. And both have been struggling with injuries. Landry's more of a volume player, typically. But he's been kicking Odell's ass in both volume and efficiency, to be fair, so maybe that's not fair in this situation. But yeah, I really still think Odell is a lot better than we've seen in a while. So maybe he's fallen off. Maybe he's struggling. Maybe the NFL defense has caught up to him or whatever. But I don't think so. I think he's just been having a time of it in terms of getting healthy, being on the field a lot. How many games has he played this year? Yeah, he's played 7 games this year. Landry's played 22 and has been doing a lot better with it, as you'd expect. 33 overall. 44 in points per game. He's actually lower than Odell points per game. But yeah, more yards per team pass attempt. Slightly lower ADOT, it's fine. I don't know. I still think they're both really good players. Like, talking about buy lists outside of exciting rookie values and stuff. Yeah, these are the type of guys that fall into that line for me. Older players who've proven they can do something a lot more than they've been doing recently, that everyone's low on. Most people are low on. I will seek value there. I'll seek wide receiver points that don't come at a high cost per point. Those two players will fit in that. They're not even that old at this point, right? 26, 27. Oh no, we looked. Odell's 28. It's fine. Yeah, Jarvis was really good last year. He also has missed time this year, though, right? That's why, Rashad Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones got opportunity there. He's only played. Well, no, he's been in the field 12 games. Feels like he's missed time, though. Am I wrong on that? He's also running bad in touchdowns, weirdly. Slightly. Crazy to think Baker Mayfield was a top 5 dynasty wide receiver, yeah. But they remember Derek Carr was at some point. Young quarterbacks, young players that do significantly well. Derek Carr's one of those awkward. Anyway, we're talking about Baker Mayfield, but I did have a lot of Mayfield hope, but I'm not a quarterback evaluator. I don't think it's. Sometimes this is the way it works out. I think Odell was justifiably a top 5 wide receiver. I think he's an incredible level of talent, like very rare level of talent. It's just this is the way his career's worked out. It's unfortunate, but life is weird. Again, it might be a circle, but it doesn't go in a straight line, and it's not an even circle. I don't know, some clever way of saying that. I think Odell just had a rough career. I mean, he was traded by a team for no real reason than they wanted him off, and that worked out real well for Hopkins, and it didn't for Odell. And I don't think it's because he's a diva or a bad person or because he doesn't work hard. I don't know if he does, but I would sincerely doubt any of that is the reason why. I think that's largely just bullshit made up about a person, which we've all encountered in our lives. It honestly reads like he's struggled with injuries, struggled to come back fully healthy from injuries. That would be my best way of explaining how I feel about it. maybe that does slow down. Maybe you do lose a step when you go through stuff like that. Because Odell was always a fast move, electric catch, electric playmaker, in every situation. And maybe that's a harder thing to sustain as your career ages and, life goes on than what DeAndre Hopkins does. But DeAndre Hopkins is kind of the same kind of thing. He's not a fast twitch guy. He's not he moves plenty fast, don't get me wrong. But he makes electric catches and unbelievable plays in tough situations. But they do play slightly differently. Maybe he's more able to sustain that in the same way Keenan Allen is versus what Odell Beckham had to maintain to keep it. There's truth to that, but I've got no way of quantifying those kind of things. We try with combine and burst scores and speed scores and missed tackles, and none of it gets close to style of play or how they problem solve in individual situations. Maybe I think there's some stuff we can't quantify well, and we don't try. And then it's just down to life is not predictable. And we're essentially always trying to predict the future, which is, Nostradamus was also wrong a lot. In fact, he was entirely wrong about everything. But, we just read into it. We're trying to predict the future. We should not expect to be right. But we follow the average. And then the average says Odell Beckham should have continued to be a phenomenal player. And I think he still has that potential in him. Again, it's a never give up on your favorite players, right? And players that prove to have the level of ability, I'm just never going to give up on them. Especially at decreasing value, as long as it decreases in proportion to the increased risk as their career ages, as we continue to see poor performances. But, it doesn't predict continued bad. The ceiling sets the level of where they can be. And then if they're bad forever after that, it's just excuse making, but that's the way it works. You can always come back to that level. But players that never get there or haven't been there before are a lot less likely to do it than players who have been there before are to do it again. Yeah, I think that sentence made sense. Life's wild, man. These people are experiencing life as well as football. Football is metaphor for life, I guess. But yeah, you make the best bet you can. Yeah, he's made him such a villain. I don't see why. We've literally got players in the NFL that have done truly villainous things. I'm not going to that's not the kind of commentator I am. I'm not going to talk about that shit much. Not because I'm scared, just because I don't like to mob and I don't like to judge people at a distance. It's that simple. But convicted, proven, fully convinced they have done villainous, heinous, don't like that person level things, even though I don't know them. And then you've got Odell Beckham who kicked a net once. I don't get it. What a diva. What? He's just seems very tame. I don't know the man at all. So how we're going to make a judgment? But the stuff people use to project that villain image just seems bizarrely, for me. He's such a diva. He wanted to be paid. Me too. Everybody. He didn't like the Giants sucking. Me neither, really. I really hated it when the Giants sucked. What do you want? He's a competitive guy and he wanted the team to be better. I don't understand why that's a villain move. Whatever. Oh, I guess I should get out of here. I keep getting told that, streaming while the game's on's a bad idea. But I'm enjoying talking to you, Crossover, man. Appreciate it. Is Bayard meant to be bailed or is it meant to be born? Because I know he had a lot of points. He had a high yardage game, I think a touchdown, right? Yeah, in the same way, I'm not going to give up on the players I'm in on. I'm not going to, do the disservice to anyone that I'm commentating on for to come in on Henry Ruggs. I was very clearly out, but I tried to be fair by talking about the positives on his profile. But if he turns out to be a breakout, I'll put him on my L list. His college stats said he shouldn't. However, as I just said on the most recent podcast you didn't get to listen to, look, if you didn't prospect that way, if you liked what you saw, his rookie season has been fine. Like, his rookie season is not a reason to come down on him. I was just never up on him. Last week, what did he do? 17 PPR points. Nice. Yeah. He's having a fine rookie season. It's fine. I would describe it as fine in the same way that Zach Reed described Travis Fulcrum's entire being. Because he's a hateful man. Not really, but where is Ruggs? Yeah. Sophomore model predicts him for 12 fantasy points a game. I mean, it's fine. He's having a solid rookie season compared to most rookie seasons, not compared to this class, obviously. I mean, let's see, where does he rank? Okay, this actually looks bad, but his rookie season ranks 109th out of all rookies since 2009. That's not bad. It's fine. Again, to go back to that word, it's fine. He's doing fine. And there are 452 rookies from all different draft capitals, by the way, in that sample set. I mean, 109th is solid. I was just never in on him, so I'm not going to come in on him based on fine, you know. Brandon Ayuk, maybe. He's having a little bit of a better season, but okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay, that's what you're saying. Yeah, it must have been one big play type of thing. And he can do that. And I think the Raiders is a perfect place for him to just own nerds like me by constantly doing that, you know? But, yeah. Fumble and a drop that turned into a pick. Ooh, nasty. Yeah, I knew that as well. If I can't watch, I do watch the game log, to be fair. I didn't see that game. I watched the game log roll in. Obviously, I've looked over the stats, but it's been awkward to watch as many games even as I normally do this season because I'm working nights. I'm working nights on Sundays, and I'm working nights on Wednesdays. Like I watch, and on Mondays quite often I'm doing this. So I'm watching replays, catching a few games here and there. Which is upsetting, really. I mean, as much fun as I pretend not to watch. I mean, watching sport is why we like sport. So it's not been great. Okay. Last minute Hail Mary type thing. Hey, man, points can't. If it was Corey Davis, that's what I would say. Points still can't. But it's Henry Ruggs, so I'm like, yeah. All right, I hear honking and doors rattling upstairs, so I think my family might be home. I'm going to have to get out of here. Voice is killing me. Thanks for talking to me for so long, Crossover. Really appreciate it. And anyone and everyone else who checked it out or didn't, thanks again. Stream every Monday. Follow, I don't know, what is it? Sub to YouTube, follow on Twitch, and do whatever you do on Periscope. Appreciate it, guys. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, I love that talk, man. I love admitting I don't have answers. It's like, that's as true as truth I can speak. Sometimes I just don't have answers, but here's my guess. And yeah, man, appreciate it. And yeah, see you all next week, right? Take care and have fun. Thanks again.